Hello, everyone, and welcome in to Pick and Roll with the Presley Bros. Yes, the Sweet 16 is set, and what a tournament it's been. Not too many shocking things, right, Dalton?
No, not a lot of upsets, unfortunately. This is actually the only I read recently the only third time in history that a uh, 13 seed or higher has not made the Sweet 16.
Well, I just saw a graphic somewhere that said it was like the previous 24 tournaments had at least one mid-major in the Sweet 16, and the last 2 years there's been zero.
Yeah,
So
maybe
it's
maybe
just,
that's what it was because I think
yeah,
I think it was only the last 2 years in like 1994 or something or 1984 or
yeah, I
something like
don't
that.
know.
It was the only three brackets that didn't have a mid major in it.
Kind of sad to see that, but you know what? It's
Yeah.
a changing landscape. Still an awesome tournament. There's been a lot of great things going on. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go down the bracket, starting with Duke and St. John's, and we're going to give you our keys to each game. And then the we're going to predict the bracket. Like me and Dalton are going to make our picks. So, Dalton, let's start with Duke and St. John's here. I'm going to pull up this preview on ESPN. Everybody can see this on the screen. Dalton, do you have a key to this game?
Yeah, my key for I'm going to pick Duke. I'll go ahead and say that. But I will say for the reason I will say if St. John's needs to win this game, they need to do very similar to what they did to Kansas. They
Yeah.
need to embrace the chaos. They made it very chaotic on Kansas. They made Kansas. They made it hard for them to pass the ball in. There was probably 4 or 5 turnovers that they couldn't even pass the ball in. I've never seen a team struggle
Yeah.
so badly passing the ball in, besides Alabama, of course. But uh,
Well, that's a given.
St. John's, they can win this game.
Oh,
Zuby
yeah.
Ejiofor, he's definitely going to get the matchup on Cameron Boozer, and I think he matches up really well with Cameron Boozer. But Patrick and Gungba being back in the starting five has been a game changer for them because without him, they almost lost to Siena. Then they played TCU and they waxed TCU.
Wow.
So it's a different game with him in the lineup. St. John's has to embrace the chaos. I'm going to go with Duke because they are just so sound on the defensive end. Probably the best defensive team in the field this year in the Sweet 16. So
Okay. Well, look, I think the key to the game, and this is very broad, I know, but I'll kind of guess dumb it down a little bit. Here's the predictions, by the way, on the screen. You can see this. Duke has a 74% chance to win according to ESPN analytics.
wow,
Um, so, and here's some of the stats here on the screen, guys. Dalton, you can't see this. DraftKings has Duke as a -6.5. Here's my key to the game is St. John's offense. And if I want to get even more particular, I'm thinking about their 3-point shot. Um, Here's why, because St. John's has shown this year that they have these spells where they can be really bad on the defensive end, you know? Like I think they scored 42 points against Kansas, if I'm not or UConn, if I'm not mistaken, in one game. Now, you could rebut that and say, well, they beat UConn twice. So I get
yeah,
it, but they have shown where they could be really, really bad on offense at times. And 3-point wise, they shoot about 33% from three, which is ranked outside the top 190 teams nationally.
ooh,
So it's not great. Um, it's pretty bad actually. So here's why I think about that is because they're playing one of the best defensive teams in Duke. So I think the key is going to be St. John's on the perimeter. Can they hit 3 points? I feel like they did better against Kansas, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but it seems like they were shooting a lot more in that game. I'm gonna pick St. John's though, because I have not been impressed with Duke over the last 2 games. They were tested by both teams. I know that their last game against TCU looks like a blowout, but it was really close for most of the game. And Siena obviously took them to the wire. I certainly think St. John's can, and I'm counting on them to have a really good uh, game on the offensive end. And I feel like they've been better here in the tournament. So um, that's who I'm going with in this matchup. Going with the St. John's to get the upset. What do you think about that, Dalton?
hey, I hope they do. Honestly,
Yeah. So
Oh, they Bryce Hopkins has shot the three a lot better in the tournament than he has all season.
that's
So
what I was
hopefully he
thinking.
can continue that. So
Yeah.
that will be a huge factor for them because they do struggle. They do have some struggles on the offensive end. Are we moving on to the next game? Michigan
Yeah,
State versus UConn.
Michigan State, UConn. You can go ahead. I'm gonna let your pick show up on the screen. Although I picked
Yeah.
St. John's, but your picks are gonna show up for everybody on the screen. Dalton picked Duke. So, all right, next.
Okay. I'm taking Michigan State here.
Okay,
And the reason why I'm taking here is the key for this game is very similar to St. John's is can Michigan State put the ball in the hole? You know, they've kind of had spells. They kind of had spells the same way as St. John's has, but Carson Cooper has been playing his best basketball of his career this season.
yeah,
And he's more than enough to handle Terrace Reed. And Jackson Kohler is, as a big man, their best 3-point shooter. And Jeremy Fear is probably one of the best point guards in the nation, definitely one of the best passers in the nation. He leads, even though Braden Smith is like the big guy for the passing, and he just broke Bobby Hurley's assist record. Jeremy Fears actually averages more assists per game than Braden Smith does. So Jeremy Fears he's upped his play every year since he's been at Michigan State. Tom Izzo is one of the greatest coaches of all time. I think this is his 17th appearance in the Sweet 16.
that's just
As,
wild,
as
man.
and they won. Obviously, they have won the national championship since 2002, and no Big Ten school has won since 2002. But UConn offense struggles as well. I think they struggle even more than Michigan State does, and Michigan State has looked really, really good. They
Yeah,
they killed they killed their first game. I can't even remember who it
South
was, and
Dakota
then
State or
they
North Dakota
wrecked
State.
Louisville as well. UConn honestly struggled a little bit against UCLA, but then they kind of ran away with it, kind of similar to Duke versus
They
TCU. But
struggle
I think
with Furman.
yeah, they did. I said that if a 15 seed beats a 2 seed, it would be Furman over
Yeah,
UConn. But they just obviously they couldn't hang in there. But I'm gonna take Michigan State. They're gonna be too much for UConn,
yeah,
and UConn's gonna take another exit.
yeah. Listen, I think the key to the game for this one for me is how does Michigan State defend Terrace Reed? And here's why I say that. And that's really specific as compared to my last key to the game with St. John's and Duke. Terrace Reed has 40 rebounds in 2 games. 40.
Wow.
I mean, in the NCAA tournament, he had 27 against Furman and 13 against UCLA.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
I mean, he has just been an absolute animal on the boards. So, I'm looking at that. He had 31 and 27 against Furman and 10 and 13 against UCLA. So, I'm thinking it's not just about defending Terrace Reed, it's how do you handle Terrace Reed, yes, offensively, but also on the boards. Because if
Mhm.
he's gonna keep giving UConn chances, it's gonna be tough for Michigan State. I mean, that's why Furman won the game the other night.
Lost.
I mean, yeah, Furman lost the other night was because they literally kept giving up chances to UConn, and eventually that's just gonna be your demise. So, I'm sorry, thing is playing on my screen on ESPN.com, the ad. So, I'm gonna pick Michigan State though too, Dalton, because I actually think like they are better in the interior than either UCLA or Furman, obviously. I'm not saying that they're gonna
Yeah.
completely limit Terrace Reed, but I think that they can do it enough with Kohler and with Cooper for them to win this game. And like you said, these teams are very similar, by the way. Their adjusted
Mhm.
tempo is incredibly close. Not incredibly close, but they're both in like the upper or the 200s and 300s here. They're actually 9 and 10 on Kim Palm, and Michigan State's 9, Connecticut's 10. So they're very close, but I think Michigan State's just playing better and is more consistent overall. So I'm going Michigan State. So next game, your boys, man, Iowa and Nebraska. I didn't think they'd make it this far, but
Let's
they
go,
have.
baby.
So go ahead with your key to the game, Iowa, Nebraska.
My key to this game is very obvious here, I think, is Bennett Sturts. Can he get it going?
Yeah,
Now you say, well, they beat Florida and he didn't play that well. And true, It's true. I think Florida kind of sold that game away. He went 0 of 9 from 3,
It's
but
bad.
I just don't think that if you do the same thing, if Nebraska does the same thing that Florida did to Bennett Sturts, that they're going to get a win again. Now, if you go back into the regular season, Iowa played Nebraska and beat them by 5. But with that being said, Nebraska shot 21% from 3 in that game. I also don't think that's going to happen again.
You know, Nebraska
Price,
did beat them, in the other matchup. They played twice.
they played twice. Okay,
Yeah, but the
and
second game was at Nebraska and went to OT, and
yeah,
Nebraska won.
yeah, and Price Sanford, he is the best 3-point shooter in the country. Even though it's not percentage wise, if he touches the ball, I actually read an article today. Jay Billis said, if you're closing out on Price Sanford, you've made a mistake, and that's exactly true. You cannot close out on him because the ball's already out of his hand and it's in the net.
Yeah,
He is
he's
an
good, very good.
incredible shooter, and I think that Nebraska is just gonna get it done. They're hot right now. They just played a great game against Vanderbilt, and I just don't think Iowa. Like, I'm not. I know they beat Florida. I'm just not really sure that they belong personally. It was honestly a miracle they ended up beating Florida, but Florida was definitely the worst one seed. I still think it was a miracle. So I'm taking Nebraska. I'm riding with my boys. Go Cornhuskers.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I think Bennett Sturts is a huge key. You see the predictor here on the screen, guys. Nebraska's predicted 69% to Iowa's 31%. Look, both times they played, Iowa was right there. Iowa won once, Nebraska won once. So this is kind of the rubber match. I think the key to the game is also Bennett Sturts to be part of this. I think it's the 3-point line. And I,
Yeah.
I went with that with my first game, but I think it's really, really important here in this matchup. Um, Price Sanford is a really good 3-point shooter, by the way. He shoots 41%. I'm looking at it here.
Oh yeah, I knew he was.
I mean,
I think he likes the highest in the country.
yeah. So I'm looking at their 3-point percentage for Nebraska is 35.5, which is pretty, I think, pretty solid. It's for some reason it's not showing me their team, like their rank and in the NCAA. But looks like here they're recognized as this is just AI here, says they're ranked as recognized as a top 20 team in 3-point percentage nationally. So, but they rely on the 3-point shot a lot. And Price Sanford, like you said, is a big part of that. So they shoot about 35%. Iowa here, Iowa, won the game on a 3 the other night, but they also shoot around 35%. So, I think the 3-point line is going to be key here to this game. And I think for Iowa, especially, it's defending Sanford. And for Nebraska, it's defending Bennett Sturts. So, I think that's kind of the key to this game. I think both, you know, whoever's going to win the 3-point battle, I think is going to win this game. Oh man, this is a tough one, but I'm going to go
Yeah.
with Iowa. I know you picked Nebraska, so guys on the screen, Dalton picked Nebraska. I picked Iowa. I just think that they played Nebraska very well both times. They just beat Florida, who is a 1 seed. I see them coming in very strong and in good spirits in this game, and I think they're going to beat Nebraska and advance to the Elite Eight, which is wild.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about that. I think this is the first time they've made the Sweet 16 since 1999, if I remember correctly.
Something
The
like
Iowa,
that.
yeah. Well, I guess we'll move on to the next game: Illinois versus Houston. And I think it's really unfair that Houston has a home game. I mean, they're literally in Houston, Texas, playing at the Toyota Center. They're not playing at Houston, but they're playing right down the road. And I really think that's unfair for Illinois. I think it's a scam that the NCAA even allowed this to happen. You could have put them in Washington, D.C., you could have put them anywhere else, but you allowed them to have a home game. But even that being said,
I
I'm
don't think they
taking
did that
Illinois.
on purpose.
Yeah, but I'm taking Illinois, and here's why. There is not a better offensive team in the Sweet 16 than Illinois. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care. People are like, oh, Purdue's the best offensive team. Alabama has the highest tempo, which they do. Illinois is the best offensive team in the country. and they've proven that all year. They have one of the best freshmen who wasn't recognized like at all coming out of high school. Keaton Wagler's coming to his own. He
Really
averaged
good.
8 points a game, had dropped 46 earlier this season. They have all these other European players who are just incredible. They are.
European pipeline, baby.
Yeah, it's insane. My key though is for Illinois to win is can they disrupt Houston's off defense? Because Houston is known by their defense, but Kelvin Sampson even came out and said that this is one of my worst defensive teams. So
I don't
can
remember
they
him saying
disrupt?
that.
You don't remember him saying that?
No, but
I,
you're probably right.
I think he did come out and say that, but maybe someone else did. I know I heard it, but I thought it was him. It is one of their worst ones in recent memories, and they're still a great defensive team. But can Illinois disrupt their defense? Because that's kind of where they've lost. Like when you see them lose, it's because their defense is kind of falling apart. Because their
Yeah.
offense is actually probably better with Kingston Flemings, Emmanuel Sharp, Milos Uzan, and Chris Sinak. You got offense all over the place. Unlike past couple of years, like LJ Cryer was kind of your main guy last year. And if he wasn't scoring, it was kind of hard for them to get a basket. So I'm going to go with Illinois. I think they're going to overwhelm Houston, even though Houston's at home. So give me the Fighting Illini.
Illini, yeah.
Yeah.
You see Houston here's got the 59% chance according to ESPN Analytics. Illinois 41%. Man, this is an awesome matchup, dude. And I know it is going to be tough, for Illinois here, against Houston, pretty much in a home game. I'm going to go Illinois too, Dalton. I picked it originally. I had this matchup in my bracket, and I'm picking it as well. Um, I think the key to the game is the guard play. That's my key to this game and in particular, I can even, zoom it into Keaton Wagler for Illinois and Kingston Flemings, the awesome freshman, Kingston Flemings for Houston. These two freshman guys duking it out. I mean, both of them had 40 plus point games this year, and both are just electric freshmen. Which one can win the battle? Which one can kind of guide his team in this game and be kind of the leader, the general, also scoring some? I think that is the key to this matchup. These, you could say other guys are the leaders of these teams, but I think these two guys are kind of like, they're freshmen, but I still think they're kind of like the most important piece or one of the most important pieces.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I'm curious to see if they'll guard each other. But listen, I think that's the key to this matchup is this guard play, and particularly the matchup between Kingston Flemings and Keaton Wagler. Who's going to win that? And that's kind of what I see here. Obviously, this is a huge contrast in styles because Illinois, they like to shoot the ball. They're an electric offense. Houston relies on their defense, always has, always does. I'm really curious to see which one's going to bend here, if at all. I'm
Yeah.
just curious to see how matchup's going to play out. I'm going to go Illinois. I think their offense is just pretty much better than any offense that Houston's played this year.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think, they've struggled, like you said, at times. I wouldn't say struggle to defend, but they're not as good as past teams. So we both have Illinois advancing here. By the way, I wanted to go back to Nebraska, Iowa. I found the exact stats here. Nebraska is 94th in the country in 3-point percentage. And
Wow.
yeah, and that's way lower than I thought it was. And Iowa is 101, but they're very close.
That's
And
surprising.
yeah, I still think that's that's still my key to this
Oh
game.
yeah, I would say
Which
it
one
is
wins
too.
the 3-point battle? So, anyways, I wanted to go back to that. But all right. So here's your top of the bracket. You've got Duke and Michigan State facing off. You've got Nebraska, Illinois. Okay, and folks, I've got St. John's, Michigan State, and I've got Iowa and Illinois. And I mean, that's going to be another Big Ten matchup. So
Yeah.
Big Ten's going to lose some teams no matter what. I'm going to go back to your picks here, though. All right, so we had two different picks there. All right, let's go to another awesome matchup, Arizona and Arkansas. Who you got?
I'm going to take Arizona here, and the reason why is very simple to me. That Arizona is the best overall team in the country. I think I
Yep.
think that Duke is probably the best defensive team overall, but I think Arizona is right there behind them on the defense, and they're definitely better on the offense. They don't have anybody who's just going to wow you. They don't have the AJ Dibanza, the Cameron Boozer, but they all average like double digits. And Braden Burries is a great freshman, a great shooter, but they don't really rely on the 3-point line like a lot of teams do. They want to drive in, kick it out if it's open, and they obviously rely on Jaden Bradley to get the ball in the hole towards the end of the game, as you saw him hit that incredible shot against Iowa State. But my key to this game is Jaden Bradley guarding Darius Acuff, because I'm assuming he will get that job because he's one of the better defenders. No one has been able to hold Darius Acuff in check, and I know it's an extremely difficult job. But Arizona on KenPom, let me look at their defense.
I got it right here, Dalton.
What is it?
Fourth on they're 3 on defense.
3 on defense.
Yeah.
And I know Arkansas is way down the line on defense. So can Arizona put Darius Acuff in check? Because without him scoring 20 points, if he doesn't score 20, they won't win. He has to have at least 20 for them to win the game, in my opinion. Yeah. So is he going to be able to get it done? And they have a short rotation right now with Carter Knox out for the season. I think Arizona is just going to be way too much, and they're way too good. That's my championship pick. So I'm going to ride with it, and I'm going to take Arizona all the way still. So
yeah,
give me the Wildcats.
Can you just guess how many points Darius Acuff's averaging in the tournament? Do you know?
I think he's averaging like 28,
30. 30. He had 36 against High Point, 24 against Hawaii. Look, Dalton, you hit it right on the nail on the head. I don't know how you could go with any other key to this game. It is how Arizona defends Darius Acuff. Listen, I'm at the point where I'm willing to say he's the best player in the country.
He's so good.
I am at that point. I love Cameron Boozer. He has been phenomenal. I think Darius Acuff, in terms of just how the basketball talent and how much he affects this team, like he's literally just carrying this team. It's kind of reminiscent of Kemba Walker, a few years ago when they won the Big East tournament and then made this run and won the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but Darius Acuff has been unstoppable. He scored like 20 points and I can't remember how many games in a row, but it's staggering. And 36, they could not stop him. High Point. And I get it's High Point.
Oh.
But man, he got whatever he wanted. So I know he's not going to get 36 against Arizona, I don't think. But no. I think if you can limit him, then you can win this game. I'm nervous, man, about this game because I think Darius Acuff's just on a tear. And again, like Kemba Walker dragged that team, the UConn team, to a championship. I think Darius Acuff can do it. At the end of the day, I think Arizona is the best defense they've played all season. And I think they will limit him just enough to beat them. And here's the other thing. Arkansas this year has shown times where they've been bad. Like they lost by 22 to Auburn earlier in the year. They've had games where they just kind of like, what in the world happened? They got obliterated by Florida. Arizona's been more consistent. Yes, they struggled a little bit against Utah State. I think they're going to level up against Arkansas, and they've done it all season. They've been so good. I think, like you said, they're the best team in the country. I think Arizona wins in a very close game. That's my prediction. So
I agree with that as well.
All right, Texas and Purdue. What you got?
I think the very obvious key here is the big men because Vogatitis has been the best player for Texas, and Trey Kaufman-Wren is the best offensive player for Purdue. I know Braden Smith might be like the better overall player, but he's not going to score 30. Trey Kaufman-Wren is the guy who gets the points with his incredible footwork. Are they able to stop each other? Like, is Vogatitis gonna shut Trey Kaufman-Wren down? Is Trey Kaufman-Wren or Oscar Clough gonna shut him down? No one has been able to stop Vogatitis. He's been incredible. He was destroying BYU. Now, and can they stay out of foul trouble is another big question. Because sometimes big men get in foul trouble, and then you're kind of done for. You kind of just get put out of the game without doing anything because you're not on the floor. So who wins the big man matchup there? it's going to be the key of the game because they both have guards who can shoot on the outside. Trayvon Mark has been playing incredible. I can't remember the first name. I can't remember his first name, but something Swain, and they obviously have Jordan Pope as
Dalen.
well. Yeah, Dalen Swain, who's ranked. I saw recently in a mock draft was ranked top 25. So they both have incredible players. Purdue has Braden Smith, obviously Fletcher Lawyer, and C.J. Cox, I think is his name, on the outside, all who can shoot three. So there's going to be a lot of inside outside game here. I think that I know I said Iowa doesn't belong. I really don't think Texas belongs. They've kind of just gone on this miracle magic run. They weren't even. I think they went. What did they finish? 19-12 in the overall.
Yeah, they had a lot of losses.
Yeah, I'm going to take Purdue to be too much. With that being said, I hope Texas wins.
The bias comes out here, folks.
Oh, dude, I can't stand Purdue. So
look, I agree, man. Like I think you hit the nail on the head again with this. That's my key to this game too. Is the big man. Dude, Voika Titus was amazing against BYU in particular.
Yeah, so good.
Like he was unstoppable. Now I don't think he had as good of a game in that second game. Still a good game. He's just a big part of the scheme for Texas. But man, he's been really good. I think you're sleeping on Texas a little bit, Dalton, because I think that the athletic profile of Texas is about as good as any other team that Purdue's played this year.
You're probably right.
They've got really good players. You got Jordan Pope. Like you said, Dalen Swain is a really good player. Tremont Mark has been a journeyman. He's played at like 50 different schools. Really good player. But yeah, I think that battle down low because you got Oscar Clough and Trey Kaufman-Renn. And then Texas has Voika Titus. So I am curious to see who can win the rebounding battle. That's going to be a big time battle down low. And like I said, I think Voika Titus is kind of coming in his own here. But I'm looking here on the NCAA's stat thing, team stats. Texas is 17th in the nation in rebound margin in the country. And I think Voika Titus is a big part of that. And I'm struggling going down here to Purdue. They're number 20. Texas is 17, right? So they're very close in the rebounding margin. And I think it's due to those big men. And so I think it's going to come down to who can be solid on the defensive glass to get the rebounds and not allow offensive rebounds. And so I think Voika Titus, I feel like, struggles with foul trouble. And maybe he's the only major big guy for Texas. So I think you give the edge to Purdue there. Man, I really want to pick Texas.
Yeah, I wanted to as well. I just can't see it happening.
All right, I'm going to go Purdue. Against my better judgment, I'm going to go Purdue. I just think in the end with Clough and Trey Kaufman-Renn, I think it'll be a little bit too much for Voika Titus and other guys down low. Great run for Texas though. They're the surprise team here. So, but I'm going to go with Purdue as well. I think Braden Smith could be a difference as well. Fletcher Lawyer. We haven't even talked about those guys really.
Yeah, let me see who usually starts for them.
Who?
For
Texas,
their big man. I think their second big man is Camden Heide. I think he transferred from.
He's not a big man. He transferred from Purdue.
But I'm pretty sure he's their.
He's not a big man. He plays like the 3, maybe the 4, but like that's a stretch.
4. He's 6'7".
I don't know. I think Purdue's got the edge just a little bit there.
Yeah.
And I would even say the guard battle, they have the edge. I take Braden Smith over Jordan Pope, although I think Pope is a really good player. But don't sleep on Texas. I would not be shocked if they won this game.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be either because I just don't think I don't think that I don't think Purdue's that great either. Honestly, I mean they're kind of hot right now.
They're on a hot streak, and that has to be accounted for as well. So
yes, it does for sure.
All right, Michigan, Alabama, let's go. Roll Tide. Might get smacked, but we'll see.
Obviously, we all know that we're Alabama fans, and I would love to pick Alabama, but I cannot. I just cannot do it.
What do you think the analytics say on the percentages?
Oh, I actually already saw it. Sorry, but 73.
No, it says 80.
Mine says 73 to 27.
Well, ESPN says 80 to 20.
I'm on ESPN. It says 73 to 27.
I don't know. This is on maybe this is the well, no, it says 80% odds to win Michigan. I don't know, just whatever.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
go.
anyways, that's unfortunately, that's probably about right. I think this is very similar to last year. If you remember last year, they had this incredible game against BYU, hit the record for threes in a game, which Bama holds with
Alabama.
20. Yeah, Alabama holds with 25 threes in one game. They waxed Texas Tech, looked very similar, making threes left and right, and now they're going against Michigan. And what does Michigan have that Bama doesn't have? Big men. They are huge. They have 7'3" Ade Mara, Marez Johnson Jr., who's 6'9", Yaxel Lindenberg, who plays the 3 at 6'9". And then they kind of even out a little bit on their guards. But I just think Michigan is too big and too good. Bama, we know that they're running the highest, like the fastest offense in the game. There's no faster offense, and they're a low turnover. Big part of it is because they hoist threes before you can even turn the ball over. But so they're a pretty low turnover team, but they allow this is so bad. They're averaged on defense 83 points per game.
It's
Michigan
bad.
70. And Michigan they shoot they're honestly their offenses are kind of similar. Believe it or not. They kind of Dusty May kind of runs a very similar scheme. We don't want mid-range shots. We want unless you have proven that you can make mid-range shots. We want threes and dunks, and that's what they do. And they don't do it as a good as a clip as Alabama does, but they also don't shoot as much as Alabama does. I just think again, I think Michigan is too big. I guess I didn't really say the key to this game, but
Yeah, I would,
my key would be the 3-point line for Alabama. Can Alabama
yeah.
stay hot from the 3-point line? If they can, they could beat any team. But I just don't see it happening with Michigan being as good as they are. So give me Michigan, unfortunately.
Yeah, you bring up some good points here. Look, if you don't know what Dalton was talking about, Alabama played BYU last year in the Sweet 16 and absolutely, lit them up. But then they played Duke in the Elite Eight and just got absolutely shut down. And what Dalton is saying is he thinks that's going to happen again. Because Alabama destroyed Texas Tech last weekend. Now they're playing a team like Duke and Michigan. That's what Dalton was kind of referring to there. If you didn't know that, look, man, I think the key to the game, I would say two here. I do think it's a 3-point line because any game with Alabama, the 3-point
Yeah.
line is a key. They're going to hoist the most threes. They make the most threes. The 3-point percentage is solid. Like that's what they do. They shot 42 the other night, went 19 of 42, an insane clip. So if they're on and they're able to hoist, man, it's gonna be a long day for Michigan. Okay. Um, but there have been teams that have been successful at limiting the 3-point shot against Alabama. And I think absolutely Michigan's equipped to do that. The question is, will
Mhm.
they do that? The other thing I think is rebounding because we know Dalton, as you said, Michigan is a very big team. Alabama is not a very big team. Aiden Sherrill is pretty much the only, you know, almost 7-footer that you can count on
Yeah,
rebounding
that's
wise.
viable.
When he goes out, they're toast. If he gets into foul trouble, if he gets hurt, they're toast.
Yeah.
Because Michigan's got Adai Mara, they've got Morez Johnson, they've got Yaxel Lindenborg. You've already said all this, huge guys. So rebounding margin, Dalton, Alabama is at 163 in the nation in
Oh,
rebounding margin. Not good. Okay. Michigan, on the other hand, top 10. They're
I was
eighth.
gonna say I was
They're
gonna say they're
eighth.
top 5, but they're
Okay.
top 10.
So not
Yeah.
good when you think about, rebounding. And Alabama struggled, but against Texas Tech, they did not. I mean, they were rebounding the basketball like crazy. They were shooting like crazy. So I think those are the keys to the game. Here's the thing. Nobody's giving Alabama a chance, and that's what I love. That's what I love. I'm picking Alabama.
Wow.
I'm picking Alabama. Here's why. I think that
Could
they
not.
can at least sort of replicate don't laugh, Dalton. Why are you laughing?
I think that's a crazy pick,
Okay.
but
Hey, buddy, listen. A few years ago, Alabama played North Carolina, the 1 seed, and they beat North Carolina and went to the Final Four. In the Sweet 16, they beat North Carolina. I know North Carolina was not as good,
okay.
but I mean, Alabama wasn't a great team that season. They just went on a hot run. Here's the thing.
Sure.
Alabama, I don't know why you're forgetting this, Dalton, and everybody forgets this. How many close calls did Michigan have this year?
They did. They did have a lot. They
Penn
did.
State could have beat them. Like literally they took the worst last second shot ever, and that's why Penn State lost the game. Penn State is horrible. Wake
They are.
Forest lost to Michigan by 2 points this year. TCU lost by like 1 point to Michigan. Now TCU is not terrible, but still, you get the point. Bama's better than those teams. They can do it. Okay,
You're
they
right.
can. They can do it. And I think it's gonna take a great effort like the other night against Texas Tech. But if they do that, they will win this game. They're on a hot streak. They're playing for Aiden Holloway, who's made obviously a dumb choice and
Drug
it
dealer.
was. But look, they've got motivation. They're riding high. They're the underdogs. I think they're gonna come in and shock Michigan and take out another 1 seed.
I
I'm
hope they
just
do. Hey, obviously, I hope they do.
again,
So,
guys, I'm putting Dalton's picks up there, but I'm picking Alabama. I think that they're the best offensive team Michigan's played, one of them for sure. Maybe Illinois, you could say, and they did shut Illinois down. But you know what? I'm going with the upset. Go Alabama, roll tide. All right, last game here, Dalton. Iowa State, Tennessee. This will be a really good matchup too. What you got?
yeah, this is very similar. A very similar team here, and I think the key for this game is rebounding. Tennessee is the best offensive rebounding team in the country. They even rebound better offensively than Florida, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Which
that's
helps
wild.
out which helps out in obviously shot in the points that they get because obviously the more opportunities you get, the more chances you have of making a shot. And Iowa State is kind of small. They're not a very big team. Their best player, Joshua Jefferson, who plays the four, I think is 6'9". I'm trying to get to their roster to see how tall he is. Yeah, 6'9", and then they
He's
have
not the
they do
tallest player, is he?
he's not their tallest player. He's their four. Their starter is their center is 6'10". But there's going to be giving up. I think he's going to be giving up some height against Felix Okpara. Rick Barnes is a great coach. He has yet to get over the hump. Can he do it against Iowa State? I'm going to say no. I think that if they can rebound the ball like they have been, and they can play like they've played the past couple games because they looked great against Virginia, then maybe they could get it done. I think Iowa State is just going to be too good for them. They have all the pieces that you would want, and they have one of the best players in the country. Definitely one of the best big men in the country in Joshua Jefferson. I think he's going to take it to them, and I think TJ Otzelberger is going to get to the Elite Eight. So give me Iowa State as long as they can rebound the ball properly.
Okay, here's the problem, Dalton. It's still like I still don't know if Joshua Jefferson is going to play.
Oh, I forgot about
Just
that.
remember he rolled his ankle.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
I'm on an article right now. All right, and it says there's finally some encouraging news for Iowa State Cyclones. Star forward Joshua Jefferson, who missed the last 2 NCAA tournament games, well, one and then most of the other one, is reportedly continuing to progress after suffering an ankle injury. Um,
You're lagging really bad.
I don't know. It's still last I heard was he said, I'm going to do whatever I can to get on the court. So if I had to guess, he's probably going to play, but I think he's going to be limited
Yeah.
because I mean he rolled his ankle good. So and
Yeah.
maybe there's another update and I'm just not seeing it, but
I
that's a huge like that's it's hard to predict this game without Joshua Jefferson.
I'm gonna say if
You
he's
know,
not playing, I'll probably
I,
take Tennessee, honestly.
yeah.
Even if he's
Um,
limited, I'll probably take Tennessee because he is. I just don't know if they can get it done without him. I really don't.
yeah.
So
My
that
video
would be.
is way
I forgot
behind
about
here.
that. Yeah, it is.
We're just gonna have to keep going. We're almost done. Um, look, I think that's a key to the game right there. I mean, like if Joshua Jefferson plays or not,
Oh
um,
man,
you know that's a huge development if he doesn't play. But I'll still say another key I think here is, uh, also how Iowa State handles Nate Ament because he is a really good player. He can go off at any moment. He's 6'11", can stroke it. He hasn't been great in the NCAA tournament. And I think, Iowa State's definitely equipped to guard Nate Ament and frustrate him. These are very similar teams. They're both going to rely on their defense. They both want to slow the game down, slow the pace down, kind of run a, kind of like a standard offenses. I do think that, I'm looking at, I think three point line too could be a key here, just because I don't think either of them really rely on it. So like if either of them can really get ahead in the 3-point margin, in terms of makes, I think that could be a difference, because I don't think either of them kind of, really, really focus in on that. So I think, Iowa State would have the upper hand there, but I'm going to pick Iowa State too. I think they're, even without Joshua Jefferson, I'm picking Iowa State. I think that they're just the more consistent team, the more tough
Yeah.
team, the better team overall. And I know both of them, Otzelberger hasn't been able to get over the hump. Rick Barnes hasn't been able to at Tennessee, but I feel like Tennessee's gone this far before, and maybe even Elite Eight, but I don't know. I feel like Iowa State's come up even more short than that.
They
So
made the Elite Eight. I think the last time they made the Elite Eight was with Admiral Schofield and Grant something. I forgot his last name. Williams.
yeah, but I think they made the Elite Eight last year or 2 years ago. Did they not? Tennessee?
Let me see. I don't know.
It doesn't really matter. I'm going Iowa State. I think they're the better team. So,
Oh, they did. You're right.
yeah.
They did.
So I'm gonna go Iowa State, even without Josh Jefferson. I think Tennessee's run ends here. I think this is the best team that they played so far in Iowa State. So
Yeah.
in the tournament, that is. So here's Dalton's picks: Duke, Michigan State will be in the Elite Eight, Nebraska, Illinois, Arizona, Purdue, and Michigan, Iowa State. Okay, those are Dalton's picks. Here's my picks.
A lot of salt.
I've got St. John's, Michigan State. I've got Iowa. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, St. John's, Michigan State. I've got Iowa, Nebraska. It's going to keep going. Iowa, Illinois. That is Iowa, Illinois. Every time I click it, it zooms down into the Elite Eight. Iowa and Illinois. I've got Arizona and Purdue, just like Dalton. And I've got Alabama and Iowa State. So there's my Elite Eight right there. Dalton, one question here before we're done. What, out of all the Sweet 16 matchups, which one is your favorite matchup in the Sweet 16?
Honestly, I think I'm going to go with Arizona versus Arkansas.
It's a good one.
Because of the tear that Darius Acuff has been on. Can he continue what he's been replicating? Can he replicate what he's been doing? I mean, that's a better way to put it. He's been going off. He's been incredible. I can't remember what it is, but ever since the first game in the SEC tournament, he's like, I think he scored like 24, 26 was his lowest scoring game since the SEC tournament.
Yeah, it's insane.
They've been hot. And I saw also someone say that Darius Acuff is John Calipari's best player ever. That's what they said.
Literally might be.
Which is an extremely bold statement for all the players that John Calipari has coached, but he's literally right there.
Yeah, he's up there.
He's really easily top 5. I would probably say top 3 for sure.
Yeah, great player.
How is Arizona's drop coverage defense, and they're just incredible defense overall, going to handle Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas? I'm really excited about that matchup. Really excited about that game, and that's my number one choice for sure.
That's a really good one. That's my second one. My first one's going to be Illinois and Houston. Yeah. I just think, to me, these are Final Four. Well, I guess at this point, all of them are Final Four caliber technically. But, from the beginning of the tournament, I saw those two teams. I'm like, man, that is a really, really good matchup. They're both, they've been in the top 10 all year long, pretty much. They both are, really, really solid programs, good coaches. But this year, I think Illinois has stepped their game up just a little bit to kind of match where Houston's been in terms of like national standing. And I just love that matchup. 2 versus 3, contrasting styles, Illinois with the offense, Houston with the defense. It's going to be a really, really cool matchup. I'm curious to see which one, again, is going to bend or break. Is it Illinois' offense struggles, or is it Houston's defense that struggles? Or do they both just, somehow kind of breaks even? I don't know, but I'm really curious to see this matchup. And again, the elite freshmen Keaton Wagler and Kingston Fleming's just really, really high level matchup here. Really great game. I'm looking forward to that one. What?
I was gonna say, I think it helps Illinois a lot that Kylan Boswell's back too. I think
Yeah,
that's
that
gonna
really
really
does. And I know it's
to
a
help.
home game for Houston pretty much, but I'm going to go with Illinois still. Duke St. John's is another intriguing one.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, this is awesome. That's this one good thing I guess you could say about no mid majors is you kind of get these huge matchups
Oh
between these
yeah.
huge programs. I'd still rather have these Cinderellas in there, but
Mhm.
you know
Me
that's
too.
another thing for another
That's
video.
it
So,
is what it is.
all right, guys, tomorrow Sweet 16 starts up. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you can fill out a second chance bracket, and hope maybe these tips helped you out, our picks and whatnot. But we'll see how this goes. God bless. Take care.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide, everyone.